What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Comically Boston. Today's episode 93, and we are going to be talking about Ahsoka Episode 4, Fallen Jedi. But that will be full spoilers end of this video, so if you haven't seen that episode, go check that out and come on back afterwards. But first off here, we got a couple of trailers, little teasers came out. One of them for Godzilla -1. Why it's called that, I have no idea, but it's heading back to, I think, more of the Japanese Godzilla, you know what I mean? Like the early Godzillas way years ago with the little T-Rex looking thing. But you can see from this image here, this lady sitting in some building, and you can see the reflection on the window here of Mr. Godzilla. And he's looking mighty ferocious, kind of looks similar to how he looks in the other Godzilla more recent movies, but also kind of has that old, movement kind of vibe. He's not going to be, sacking King Kong, if you know what I'm talking about from Godzilla vs. Kong. All of a sudden there's one scene where he kind of like, and boo, and like tackles him like he's a middle linebacker. It's kind of funny as hell. But hard to take serious at the same time. But I get it, it's a monster movie, it is what it is. In this image here, you can see a massive explosion and people standing far too close to this explosion, but they are in awe of this Godzilla here. You can see those spikes on his back. He's looking good. What is he doing walking straight into an explosion? I have no idea, but hey, he's Godzilla. He can do what he wants. And here he's stepping on people, goddamn trampling the poor people of, I gotta say, Japan. I don't know where this is going to be set, but I think it's over there. And poor people here, they're just getting stepped on these giant feet, these giant four-toed feet. He's a beast, though. Gotta love Godzilla. And then this last image here, he doesn't have quite the same roar as the Godzilla movies previous, but he still has the same kind of vibe. But here, he looks charred. He looks crispy. Almost like they dropped a nuke on the boy, and it fried his skin, but he's still fucking chugging, and he's pissed. So maybe that's what this movie's about. They're trying to destroy Godzilla, and it just doesn't work, and then he destroys them. Who knows? But hey, I'm interested to see it regardless. And then also, today, GROOT Season 2, the shorts. If you liked those shorts before, they weren't necessarily grouped into a season. They were like individual shorts, but then people complained that they were a bunch of them, so they all grouped them into one tab on Disney Plus. So there's Season 1 now. Season 2 has dropped. I haven't watched them yet, but this little guy, little baby Groot here, is the cutest thing ever. And I think the shorts are only, 4 or 5 minutes each. So, like, there's 5 of them. 20, 30 minutes, like, not too much out of your day. So go check out those shorts. Let me know what you think. Also, there was a teaser trailer for Loki Season 2 that dropped. And I am so excited for this show. We see more images of Jonathan Majors as Victor Timely. We see images of Casey with the little ink spreading in his pocket, but we also see OB here, played by Ki-Hu Kwan. So excited to see his character. I think he's going to be hilarious. You see him looking into this tunnel-looking thing. I love the set design and everything about Loki Season 1, and I think they're just going to up the ante with Season 2. Even just in this trailer, like the score, the music of this trailer is so good. And you see here giving a speech, you see Casey, OB, what is that, Hunter B-15, Mobius, Sylvie with Loki. So they're back together. They look like they're in the TVA, maybe giving a speech of some sorts. This next image, you see Victor Timely in this room with clocks on the wall in the background and kind of a triangle pitched roof. And he's holding some type of, gotta be, time thing. And you see in this next image that it looks like in that same room, standing on the opposite side, that Rebecca Tormene, or Ravonna Renslayer, those are both her names, but she is holding like a pruning stick, but maybe an early version of it, and she looks like she's about to shoot whatever's in his hand. So they're together, so maybe we see how or why Kang is with, or He Who Remains was obsessed with this lady, because in the comic books they have a love stories together, and she once took a blast for him. So I'm curious to see that. But in this same room, we see Sylvie with this blue blade, which is a badass blade. But Sylvie is walking up towards, looks like Victor Timely on the floor in the background. The room looks like it's a mess. She already killed the first Kang, He Who Remains. Is she going to kill Victor Timely here too? I don't know. You don't see Loki anywhere in sight, but I have a feeling she might be on a rampage just to kill every version of Kang, right? You know, especially after she killed the last one. We've been seeing the McDonald's commercials, and I find that hilarious that she's, you know, finally done everything she can to get to this moment. She kills him. Now she's alone again because she pushes Loki through a door, and she's like, what do I do? Let me go to McDonald's and get some food. You know, she's probably hungry. She walks into McDonald's. She goes, can I get a #1? They go, that will be $2.50. She goes, I don't have any money. They go, well, we're hiring. And then she ends up behind the counter. You know, like, that's my theory, at least, of how she ends up working at McDonald's. She just wanted a burger. And she was like, why not? I'll work here just so I can get enough money to buy a burger, just because I've been running my whole life. Might as well stay in one place for a second. But I'm super excited to see Loki and her back together. In the trailers, there's a shot of them holding hands, and this big green blast energy comes out, just like how they were holding hands and they beat Goliath in season 1. Or Goliath, either way. I'm so excited for that show. Loki, Tom Hiddleston, he's amazing in that role. And just how that show, like the concept of that show, they're, you know, they working, you know, it's multiverse stuff because there's variants. You know, it's kind of incest because Loki loves Loki, but it's Sylvie. They're different. They're different. To me, it's perfectly fine. I like that they fall in love. Maybe I'm just a sucker for a love story, but hey, it is what it is to me. I hope they continue on to have a great love story in that show. Maybe it ends up not working at all because he is the god of mischief and nothing ever works for him. But, you know, I'd love to see him meet Thor again, you know. But it is what it is, you know. But that's coming up in October, so I can't wait for that. But Ahsoka, Episode 4, Fallen Jedi. Now, what is that referring to? Full spoilers for Episode 4. If you haven't seen it yet, get out of here. Come back and watch it come back when you've seen the episode and come talk to me about what you thought. Because this one, by far the best 4 episodes so far in any of the Star Wars shows. You know, maybe season 1 of The Mandalorian. The first 4 episodes were good, but I think this is better. After the last episode, they had to crash land in the woods for repairs. So there we start back with Hu Yang and Sabine and Ahsoka trying to repair the ship in the middle of the woods. But we seen Balin had sent out droids to find them, and I love this setting of just the red trees. It feels like a very practical set. You know, it doesn't feel like they were on a stage or anything like that. So I wonder if they were on location somewhere. But it feels really good, and this episode is jam-packed with action. You know, some of the best laser sword lightsaber fights that we've seen in Star Wars, and I love that they come off the ship and Sabine in her full Mando armor and Ahsoka with her 2 blades come out fighting these droids. They save Hu Yang. You know, it's some badass stuff. They work together. And Hu Yang makes one request. The only thing the guy asked: stay together, you'll thank me later. What do? They immediately separate as soon as they come into trouble. Which was definitely the bad guy's plan, you know. Because, you know, they're trying... So Ahsoka and Sabine need to get this orb to stop them from jumping to the different galaxy to go get Thrawn. And Ahsoka's like, can I count on you? Because sometimes we need to do things that are against our own personal feelings. And Sabine says, yes, you can count on me. But we learn a little bit later that maybe she can't, you know, because Sabine, her feelings might be too strong, and she's, you know, she gets taken advantage of. But this little orb thing in this galaxy that we're going to, it's so interesting to me. I can't wait for next week's episode, because maybe we get to actually see Thrawn. We get to see this other galaxy. Like, it's pretty much a multiverse, but it's just a different galaxy. So we can do whatever we want over there. There could be different species. There could be different people. Who knows? There could be a whole shit ton of stuff going on over there. We just don't know. But I can't wait to find out. So Ahsoka chops down all these droids and shit, which is fine. You know, good fight and shit. But then she has to go against Merrick, while Shin Hati, I love the actress that plays her, Ivana Sanko. She's been great as Shin Hati. She's very menacing. But her and Sabine have round 2. Sabine already has a hole chopped up in her because ruined her bikini tan lines. Come on, Shin, what are you doing to the poor girl? But they have a decent little battle again, and I thought for a second Sabine kind of tries to force push her away, and Shin kind of gets like a little move. Maybe she was just anticipating getting thrown back by the Force, but then, or maybe it was just like she didn't have full power in it. She just kind of like knocked her a little bit. So maybe that's teasing that Sabine is kind of getting Force sensitive. She just has to fully buy in, and she's got such a complicated life, being a Mandalorian and what she did when she was younger, losing Ezra, you know, like, she's got conflicting feelings, and mind is convoluted, you know, it's gunked up in there. She's got a lot going on up in there. Needs the gears to start working. But, you know, I love this shot here. You see the green and the orange, not full of red, but the green and the red, you know, in a cross, and they lighten up the faces. Also, some of the best sound design, Kevin Heinrich, I think that's the guy that's composing this show. Just every time, boom, 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 I mean, you know, like every swing of the blade, every time it moves, it sounds great. You know, shout out to the director. Every single time there's a fight and any swing, you know, it doesn't feel like A New Hope. I keep going back to this poor George Lucas. A New Hope's fight scenes with the lightsaber is so bad. Just you know, like, come on, man. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is like actual, like, if they just replaced the lightsabers with swords, it would still be badass sword fighting. Much like Game of Thrones or any other thing that uses swords. But this with the lightsabers is so badass. Shin eventually knocks off Sabine's helmet, and I'm like, the only thing I can think is that she's an artist and this helmet's so cool because it's got painted her style. And the only thing I could think of, because Sabine ends up getting captured, you know, because she makes poor decisions, but we'll get to that in 1 second. But before, right as she's shooting her with her blasters, she gets her helmet knocked off, and then she has to bring out the lightsaber, and then they start lightsaber battling. You know, I like that she initially went back to her roots, her Mandalorian fighting skills, instead of, you know, going right to the blade. You know, instead of going blade on blade, she brought a gun to a knife fight, you know what I'm saying? So, but I saw this helmet in the woods, and I was like, poor Sabine's helmet, that's just gonna be gone forever? But maybe in the next episode, Hera will find it, or Sabine will find it, or Ahsoka will find it, but we don't know, because Ahsoka's somewhere at the end of this episode. We'll get to it. Sabine has a tough choice to make, right? And I loved Ahsoka. She sees Shin Hati run up, and she thinks, oh fuck, Shin just killed Sabine, so now she's really all alone. And she's thinking about what Hu Yang said. She's like, I should have stayed with her. She's fighting Balin. And I like that Ahsoka only brought out one lightsaber. She has the two, but she only brought out one. And just to go one-on-one, mano-y-mano, wits to wits, you know, like Jedi to, or former Jedi to former Jedi, you know what I'm saying? But she like picks up Shin, throws her against the wall. I was like, damn, goddamn, Ahsoka, okay. And she goes, destroy it, right? Because Ahsoka, as much as she wants to find Ezra, she wants to not allow Thrawn to come back here. So what Sabine really should have done in this scene, because Balin pushes Ahsoka off the edge, and you're like, oh fuck, she could swim probably, so maybe it's water down there, but there's rocks, so we don't know what happens to Ahsoka. But Sabine here is holding this orb, and the whole time I'm like, she's gonna pull her blaster and shoot the thing and fuck their whole plan. But Balin here gives her word that he'll let her find Ezra and reunite them together. And he is a man of his word, so I think that's what will happen. He does stop, so Sabine hands over the orb, he re-sparks it, completes their cycle, so now they can go to the other galaxy. They have the coordinates, then Balin destroys it. Oh, so now no one can follow them. I have a feeling, though, because Ahsoka, when she initially grabbed the orb, it burned her hand. Maybe the map is engraved in her hand somehow. That'd be interesting. But Sabine, you know, clearly, you know, it's been said that, you know, Ezra's like, oh, you're like a sister to me, but I think it's more than that. I think they actually really love each other, and like much like Hera and Kanan and Jarrus, but they haven't fully said it. So I think maybe by the end of the series, when they reunite, they'll finally confess their feelings for each other. Who knows? But either way, even if it's not like a love thing, they still love each other in the sense that she's like his only family that she has left. After, you know, the rebels split up and stuff, Hera's still alive, but she hasn't really been with Sabine, you know. Hera's busy being a general, you know. But Hera is incoming, you know. She's with Jason. Poor Jason here. I want to be a Jedi. I know you do, Jason. Just like his daddy. Oh, God. But I love he hops on the ship, and she's now like disobeying orders in peace, and he's like, Mom, how come I have to do what I'm told, but you don't? And she's like, when you become a general, you can do what you want. He's like, and she's like, until then, buckle up. He's like, you know, like, I like this kid, though, with the green hair. I really do. But, so Sabine gets captured. She gets taken onto the ship. She gets choked by Shin for a quick second, but Baylan stops his apprentice, or Padawan, or whatever, and goes, hey, I gave her my word, and I intend to keep it. Psh, you know, breaks the fucking orb. And then Morgan Elsmith goes, meet me back on the ship, ASAP, we have to get out of here. And he goes, okay, very well. But before Ahsoka fights Baylan, before all that happens, we get Marok in the woods, and that's a great battle too. As Sabine's fighting Shin, Ahsoka's fighting Marok. Marok doesn't know who the fuck Ahsoka is. He has the spinning blade like an Inquisitor, and I guess he just was an Inquisitor. I thought he was going to be Star Killer, I guess not. But starts spinning the blade, and Ahsoka does just pretty much like how Maul got done by Obi-Wan in Rebels, just real quick, you know, like gets her. She just like most sword fights. It's not like this long fight and then ends, you know, one jab. It's normally quick, you know, and the person that makes the better, more strategic move wins. So this guy thinks he's coming at her with a spinning blade. He goes, and she, you know, slices him in half. And I thought this was super interesting. He gets sliced in half, and then it's almost like he was just filled with a bunch of hot gas, you know, because he gets sliced, and then he just, and green smoke comes flying out of him. And if somebody upped the color on the image, and you can see it's green smoke. So was he brought back to life by the Night Sisters' magic? Well, like, I want to know the deal with him. Maybe we'll never find out. Maybe he just dies, he turns into dust, kind of like in Star Wars Visions, when Inquisitors die, or in Tales of the Jedi, when Ahsoka kills that other dude, that other Inquisitor. Maybe it was that same Inquisitor, who knows. But Marok's dead, not Star Killer, not Sam Witwer. Who knows? On to the next. But I loved the battle between Baylan and Ahsoka when they first show up. They're fighting in the star map like arena, and you know they have like a battle of wits first, right? Like they talk first, and she's like, I don't want to talk about my past. She talks about Anakin. Anakin spoke highly of you. Everyone in the Orta knew of Anakin Skywalker. Few saw what he became. You know, talking about Darth Vader. Ooh, and then Baylan takes his stance, much like Qui-Gon, and has this red lightsaber. So maybe Baylan was like once Qui-Gon's apprentice. That would be interesting stuff. Ahsoka takes the one-on-one blade, doesn't take out the two, and she ends up making the first move. But they have some great shots where Ray Stevenson does badass stuff. Rosario Dawson's badass in these scenes, clashing. Some great sword fighting, you know. She uses the Force to hold back the blade because he's using a lot of Force to try and push her off. She's on the edge of glory. Anyone that was saying that she wasn't expressive enough, in this episode she gets a lot more expressive, definitely in the fighting. But also, she's not a kid anymore. She's a full-grown adult that has lost a lot of things. So if she's colder, bitter, more wise, like she's just the Jedi in her. She's becoming more mature. She's not a little kid cracking jokes and everything. But even so, she's still having a pretty good time. You've seen her in the last episode with star fighting. She's flying around, you know. I think she's doing a great job. Don't hate on my girl. Fucking, she's a good shit. But we see Ahsoka get pushed off the edge. Sabine gets blasted into the next galaxy as Hera's showing up with a bunch of extra starfighters, and those people get, I don't know if all of them die, but quite a few of them die. Hera and Jason are alright, but man, they kind of, like, this giant ring just blasts off through them, you know, like, just don't even pay attention to it, just blast right on through them. And I'm so excited for that, because I'm like, damn, they didn't accomplish their mission. Sabine said that she could count on Ahsoka, but she gave the orb to Baylan. She goes with them just to find Ezra. So maybe my only hope for Sabine is that when she finds Ezra, those two can start working on some type of plan to fuck them over. They're really good at that. If you've seen Rebels, they always are up to some kind of trouble and mischief. Ahsoka here, we don't see her in the water. We don't see her washed up on the shore. We see her wake up on this path that looks kind of like water, but it's not. And it's just like this light up path. And we hear a mysterious voice say, "Hello, Snips." And it sounds awfully like our boy, Anakin Skywalker. And we see Hayden Christensen in his black Jedi robes from from Revenge of the Sith, before Darth Vader. He's got his long hair. He is de-aged a little bit, and you can almost tell, but as every time we see this de-aging technology, it looks better and better. And he looks just like a young Anakin. He's got the long hair, he's got the Jedi robes, and he goes, I didn't expect to see you this soon. And then it cuts, and you're like, that's where we're left off? Anakin's talking to Ahsoka in the world between worlds, and he's back in, like, well, he's probably a Force ghost. He's just talking to her. Maybe he brought her to this world between worlds. Maybe she fell into one of those doorways into the world between worlds. Who knows? Maybe the orb was creating a world between worlds there. I don't know. Maybe that's how she gets to the other galaxy. Anakin walks her to the world between galaxies, if you would. But it's so good to see our boy Hayden Christensen back. The de-aging looks great. You can't tell me it doesn't. You know, it maybe looks a little weird because we know that Hayden Christensen is older, but I don't mind it. I think he looks great. I thought for a second we were going to see him in his, like, armor, like, and it was going to be like a flashback to the Clone Wars, but hey, I'm not mad at him being a Force ghost if it is a Force ghost between the world between worlds. If you don't know what the world between worlds is, it's this crazy time travel type thing on how Ezra saved Ahsoka from the clutches of Darth Vader, right? So you have to go see Rebels. If you haven't seen Rebels, season 4, there's an episode called A World Between Worlds. That episode particularly is where Ahsoka is right now. And, you know, you, in the Rebels show, you hear all types of voices. You hear Yoda, you hear Qui-Gon, you hear Kanan, you hear Rey from the future, right? Because this is set between Return of the Jedi and Rey's Force Awakens. And the Rebels was set before A New Hope, right? So it was way before. So we're here in the future, we're here in the past, we're here in the present. So this place it transcends time and space, and it's crazy to even comprehend. But, you know, this episode's title, Fallen Jedi, what is that referring to? Is that referring to Baylan being a fallen Jedi? He was once a Jedi, now he's a Sith-esque type of guy. Is it referring to Anakin, fallen Jedi, is now who we've seen? Is it referring to Marok? Was he a Jedi that fell? You know, he's dead now. Or is it Ahsoka literally falling into the world between worlds? I don't know. But I think it's a great title. I think this episode was great. The director did great. The fight scenes were great. It looks great. The sound design, you know, like every swing of the blade sounded amazing. I'm so excited for next week's episode. I have a few questions. Do you think we're going to see Mandalorian or Boba Fett or Grogu cameo at all in this series? Or Luke, maybe. I don't think we need to, but I don't think it would be a bad idea either. Why not? If they're in the same time. We've seen Ahsoka react or interact with them. So I don't know, maybe. I don't think we need to though. But I think it's so interesting that they've been teasing this the whole time. With just the Ahsoka title is the world between worlds. All these lines and, you know, little orbs which definitely represent doorways, and they've been teasing the world between the worlds the whole time. And if you were a real Star Wars fan like me, we were speculating the whole time. But there was a lot of people that didn't think they were going to actually go there, you know, and do that. And they did. So I'm so excited. Dave Filoni just killing it as always. What a legend. I cannot wait. Comment below, what do you think of Ahsoka Episode 4? What have you been thinking about the season so far? I got more movie reviews coming to the channel soon. Next up on my Marvel rewatch is Deadpool and Civil War. And I'm just about to finish Rebels Season 4 on a rewatch. So then I'll hop into maybe Andor, and then I'll get to Rogue One, and then I'll get to, I just finished Return of the Jedi as well, so then I'll go to Episode 7, Force Awakens, and start Rey's trilogy. But it feels good right now. While I'm doing Ahsoka, I'm doing my Star Wars rewatch, and it's just such a Star Wars vibe. And then by the time Loki comes out in October, I'm going to be fully back into the Marvel rewatch. But every now and again, I get bored of just Star Wars, like just force-feeding Star Wars into my brain. So I'll be like, okay, let me go watch some Marvel stuff, you know, or I'll stop and just go watch something completely random. Like I'll go on Amazon and watch Power Book 4 Force. Tommy's show is great. But I've also been watching Grand Tour, that car show with those 3 Brits or whatever. Those guys are just funny. But comment below, what are you watching? Comment below if you have any movie recommendations for me. But more importantly, are you excited for Loki, and how are you liking Ahsoka? I would love to hear from you guys. Hit me up with my links down below. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram. Check out my Letterboxd. All the movie reviews are done over there. But till next time, I'll see you guys when I'll see you guys. Peace.